such a demonstration of how stupid they think that we are. So welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for the support. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, things that I think actually matter to everyday people, especially those of us trying to raise kids in the insanity known as today's society. We are not CEOs of big corporations, we're not part of the mainstream media, and we do not live in the Hollywood bubble. We are also not politicians in Washington, D.C., but we do have to live with the consequences of the decisions being made and the narrative being pushed by the people in the previously mentioned categories. If you feel like that describes you and you know exactly what I'm talking about, please like this video, leave a comment below, and also share it. Also, be sure you are subscribed to my channel. All of these things help me to grow my channel and hopefully to reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to subscribe on Rumble under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So as we're all aware, there is an election coming up tomorrow, midterm election, and I am optimistic about the fact that there seems to be a lot more urgency among voters to actually participate in a midterm election. I think a lot of us get caught up on the national elections, what is happening in the White House, what is happening in Washington, D.C., what is happening with the presidency and in the House and the Senate, members of Congress. And I think sometimes we lose focus about what's going on in our local elections with our governors, with our state leaders, with our city leaders. And if there is anything that the last few years have taught us, it's that our local elections matter, that who our governors are matter, who our state house and Senate representatives, who they are matter, what their values are matters, who are on our school boards absolutely matters. So I think a lot of people are really getting involved, and that is so exciting to see. Excuse me, I'm still fighting a cold. As some of you know, I ran for state house in Colorado in 2020, and I think that really opened my eyes to how much of an impact our local elections have on our everyday lives, so much more so than the White House and Washington, D.C. I mean, obviously, yes, those things clearly impact our lives when we have a president that doesn't want to close our borders, that doesn't want to drill for oil on our own land, that thinks that they can pass mandates to tie our liberty to things like vaccines, that, refuses to condemn violence, that wreaks so much havoc on our lives and then pretends that it's the other side doing it, and that they aren't doing exactly the things that they are doing. It's absolutely astounding to me, the absolute gaslighting that has been coming from the media, from the left, from the Democrats right now in office, pretending that they haven't done exactly the things that they are doing right now. It goes to show how stupid they really think that we are, especially the mainstream media, who is obviously very biased, who don't actually engage in legitimate journalism anymore, that they really just focus on the narrative that they want to push, the agenda, really pushing the leftist agenda forward. We saw people like Joy Reid trying to claim that the only reason that people care about inflation right now is because Republicans have told them what inflation means. That, the fact that we go to the grocery store and are paying, $6 for a dozen eggs and, twice as much for groceries right now, that's all in our heads, that the only reason we care about it is because our political leaders of a particular party told us to care about it. But that's honestly kind of...
But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right? Yeah. Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it, including on TV, including in newspapers. They've been taught this word, and they sort of wrap this word around whatever it is that they really want to vote, the reasons they really want to vote.
About it. But that's honestly kind of how the left operates. They think that the only reason people care about certain things is because they're told to care about certain things. And I do think that is what goes with their base, because they consistently lie about the things that they stand for. They lie about the issues that matter to people. They consistently lie about the things that they claim to stand for, and then, flip the switch and just really make people's lives miserable. They don't abide by their own rules. They consistently engage in, just divisiveness, inciting divisiveness, and just really not forming the unity, which is one of the things that President Biden ran on. So it's insane at this point. And I think, honestly, they're really disappointed in the fact that January 6th and abortion are not higher on people's priority lists than things like being able to afford gas and being able to afford groceries, and crime crime being a big issue in our cities, and fentanyl and open borders and national security and drilling oil on our own lands. All of these things, they clearly don't think that we understand or are, I don't know, informed enough to have a good enough grasp on, that they think that they can talk about January 6th and abortion, and that we're really going to forget about all these things that are really impacting our lives. So what I've also seen, and this is really, I think I'm more exhausted by this than anything, is continuing to be talked to like I'm stupid. That as an everyday person that's just going about my daily life, that I couldn't possibly understand the issues that are important, that I couldn't understand who's responsible for creating these problems. And, you know, it goes to show when you see people like Beto O'Rourke, who bring in Will Ferrell to campaign with him, with Stacey Abrams bringing in Natalie Portman to campaign with her, and Kathy Hochul thanking Cher for this brilliant endorsement. Have a look, just really quick.
New Yorkers, it's election season. Right now, you have a Trump supporter trying to oust your Democratic governor, Kathy Hochul. This man, Lee Zeldin, has riled up the MAGA base to support him, and the polls show it could be a close race. New York, I love you with all my heart. I have spent half of my life there, and I would hate to see a guy who wants to ban abortion, frack the state, and have don't say gay policies in schools become the governor of your great state. It's New York, babe. We say gay loud and proud. Please get out there and vote for Democratic Kathy Hochul. She's pro-choice, and she will protect democracy, the environment, equality, and the economy. Early voting goes until this Sunday, November the 6th. You can go to the polls right now, or you can vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November the 8th. Go to kathyhochul.com to find out where and when to vote.
In that clip, I mean, not only does Cher sound like an absolute robot, you can tell that she's just reciting lines. And, you know, another thing about bringing in celebrities and trying to flex the endorsement of a celebrity just goes to show how little they think of the American people, how little these political leaders think of Americans and our intelligence and our ability to grasp the issues. They think that if they bring in this shiny object, that we're going to forget that groceries are so expensive, that mortgage rates are skyrocketing, that putting gas in the car is a strain every single week, that people are really unsure about the future. They think that if they bring in this shiny object, that we're just going to forget all of the things that we're struggling with. Not only that, but all of the policies that have created these struggles, and say, hey, look, it's a celebrity, and we're just going to go like, oh, I'm going to forget about all these other things, and I'm just going to be swayed completely by what Will Ferrell thinks, or what Natalie Portman thinks, or by what Cher thinks. This literally just is such a demonstration of how stupid they think that we are. And as a celebrity, I mean, the only thing I've seen celebrities talk about is abortion and abortion. I haven't seen them talk about the economy or about crime or about the fact that people don't feel safe in their cities. And the reason that they don't talk about these issues is because they're not affected by it. They live in these, you know, multi-thousand square foot homes with armed security, with walls up around their homes, with gates, with, you know, just all of the measures that make it so that they're not affected by these things. They're not affected by the economy. They're not affected when eggs cost $6 for a dozen, or, you know, when milk costs, you know, $4 a gallon. They're not affected by these things. So why on earth would we be swayed by somebody coming out of California, a state that none of us want to emulate, that people consistently use as the point of reference for, this is what we don't want our state to look like. This is what we don't want Texas to look like. Like, when it comes to, when people say, I don't want my state to turn into something, they immediately point to California. So all of these people coming from California who are worth multi-millions of dollars that have nothing to do with anything that everyday people like myself and like you worry about and are concerned about, just goes to show how little these politicians think of us, that they really think that we are too stupid to grasp what is happening in our communities. And again, that if they bring in this shiny object, that we're so shallow and so misinformed and so uneducated that we're just going to be immediately swayed by this tactic. And it's so deeply insulting. It is so deeply off-putting and arrogant. And it's the last thing that we need in our political leaders. Like, I wouldn't support this if this is what Governor Abbott was doing. I wouldn't support this if this is what Ron DeSantis was doing. I wouldn't support this if this is what Kristi Noem or Carrie Lake was doing. If they were bringing in celebrities to say, hey, if, we're not going to talk about the things that matter to you and that affect your community. But we really think that, having a celebrity is really what is going to matter to you and is what's going to impact your vote. And I have said for a long time, the left relies on people being stupid. They really, truly do. They want to be able to pass laws that allow criminals to get out on the street, where we can obviously see endless footage of criminals wreaking havoc on everyday people, of assaulting people, of everyday citizens saying that I don't feel safe in my own city. I don't feel safe walking to work. I don't feel safe in my own home. And then say, I don't like what Kathy Hochul said, I don't understand why this is such a big issue to you, which is what she said to Lee Zeldin, that they can say, they pass these laws and then completely ignore the fact that it's a problem, that it's causing a problem, and that if they just talk about abortion enough, that we're going to forget about the fact that we don't feel safe. So it just blows my mind, and it is so deeply insulting. And I understand that there is a base of people that do vote that way, that, if someone, despite the fact that they are walking through streets where there are people laying on the sidewalk, completely passed out from drugs, half naked, and that there's crime just happening all around them. The world can be essentially going up in flames around them. And then someone telling them exactly why this is happening with all of the policies. And they can be swayed by these shiny objects, that they can be swayed, by solely focusing on abortion and solely focusing on January 6th. And not to mention, if somebody gets in there like Cher just did and, talks about MAGA Republicans and talking about Republicans being the biggest threat to democracy, who can be swayed just by talking points. There are people that are like that. And we're never going to be completely, rid of this kind of thinking. But for the most part, people are waking up. People are seeing exactly what is happening around them. People are getting more involved in understanding what, policies mean, and, the policies that do affect their lives. What happens when we pass, laws that pretty much put a slap on the wrist to criminals, that don't punish crime, that don't deter crime, that what happens when you defund the police, what happens when you have open borders, and, fentanyl and things like that really become an issue in your community, and that you can see exactly why that's an issue and whose policies have created that problem. So again, completely insulting and absolutely ridiculous that these people would do this. It's almost like during COVID when they tried to bribe us with donuts to take the COVID vaccine. Or I remember in Colorado, they did the lottery. You could win $1 million. You'll be entered into this lottery if you take the vaccine. And a lot of us were still like, yeah, no, I'm still not going to take this thing. It doesn't matter how many shiny objects you fly in front of me or dangle in front of my face. I'm still not going to ignore the facts that I understand to be true, which is that this thing has not been tested, that clearly it is not preventing transmission, and that there are people that are experiencing issues from getting it. So I'm still going to wait. I don't care how many donuts you offer me or how many lottery tickets you offer me. I'm still going to look at the facts that are in front of me, and I'm going to make an informed decision. And, bringing in celebrities for your campaign truly shows that they don't think people are capable of making those decisions, or that they think that their base that do vote that way or that do process information that way is big enough to have an impact. I'm not sure which one it is, but honestly, I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. It could be a red splash. It could be a red tsunami. We're not sure. I also think people need to manage their expectations about exactly what, Republicans will be able to accomplish in the next 2 years, especially not having the presidency. I mean, even if we regain control of the Senate and have the additional votes that we need to keep this blue tidal wave of destruction from completely, destroying and crippling the country, that is bare minimum of what we can expect is, to slow down this thing of destruction that's happening. But without the presidency, we're not going to be able to correct every single issue that we've seen in the last 2 years. I hope that in 2 years, when the presidential election comes up, that people do remember exactly what has happened in the last 2 years, and that they take that with them when we vote for the president. Because I do think people's attention spans tend to be very short. I'm not saying that as a mark on intelligence, but it is easy to forget, even when the tidal wave of, that has created absolute chaos slows down, people tend to forget how bad it was, especially 2 years down the road. It's very easy to just kind of, things are okay, things aren't as bad as they used to be, and then get caught up in all of the issues that got us into this mess in the first place. To be swayed by the media, to be swayed by the narrative, and to get caught up in talking points and all of these things. So I hope that people can stay focused and carry with them exactly what we've seen in the last 2 years, and carry that with them, and remember all of these things. Remember exactly how power hungry the people that are in power right now are, and that they are not going to let up. They are not interested in a thriving, successful, safe way of life for the American people. They want their power, period. They don't care how much we have to suffer, as you can see in every single Democrat-run city right now that is just completely overrun with crime and with homelessness and with drugs, and just people are being treated like trash that can be thrown out in the street. That all of these things, again, that people like Cher and Will Ferrell and Natalie Portman have absolutely no idea what it's like to live with that firsthand. You guys can take your ridiculous policies and your stupid, misinformed opinions back to your gated community in California, where you can feel safe and secure and not have to worry about the price of milk or filling up your gas tank, and keep it to yourself. Like, nobody cares what you have to say and nobody cares what you think. That's what I wanted to say. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this whole issue, on the insanity, the insane, ridiculous comments that have come out of the media, the ridiculous campaign ads that have come out of John Fetterman, and, the TikTok dances from Gretchen Whitmer and Beto O'Rourke, that they really think that when people are suffering, that we really want to see these people doing TikTok dances. Like, the level of disconnect, I feel like it should stop astonishing me right now, but I don't know that I will ever be completely, it'll never cease to amaze me. I think, every time I think that they've reached a new low, it's like challenge accepted, and they just make it that much worse. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, comments below. Please share this video. Again, please subscribe. It's really challenging to build a conservative channel. Also, let me know what other topics that we should be discussing more that you don't feel like are getting enough attention right now. Also, have a wonderful day. Let's do this thing with the election tomorrow. Have a good one.